Good evening.
What's happening?
How we doing? Gonna go ahead and get started here in just a second. You ready over there?
I'm just making sure we are.
Want to hook in
Yes.
here? You gonna check her outer? Head checker outer.
There we go. This is set up.
How we doing? Gonna go ahead and get started here in just a second. Welcome to the basement. Get things started here on Tuesday night. All right. Welcome back to Tuesday night. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo, and this is the Nat Shift. He's Kevin Ricca.
We've got a few things to talk about and possibly celebrate. There you go, my friend.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah, man.
We are in season 2's second episode of the Nat Shift, where we cover what we think is the greatest team in the land, and certainly a postseason contender, Washington Nationals. We're about a week away from opening day, but today was just like fun as a fan.
I mean, I giggled. I'm a 43-year-old man, and what I saw on Twitter this afternoon brought me to giggles. Just so funny how things turn out, isn't it?
Commodore's on there, right? I made a production error there, Kev.
It's all right.
We'll edit that out in post.
Nah, we'll just probably let it happen the way it
That's
did.
true.
and
That's true.
Keep it moving. You know,
It was
things
just
have been happening great around here. Why change anything?
That's true. I mean, so what? I mean, my first thought in hearing that someone had just signed the largest contract in American professional sports history, my first thought wasn't that team's an idiot or that guy's being overpaid or that's ridiculous or anything that has to do with the Angels or anything that has to do with Mike Trout. My first thought was, oh my God. Wow, that's Bryce Harper's, ding dong getting shut in a window.
Don't sell me short at $400 million was one of the things we heard coming that way. And when you see that, you think, what's going to happen to a guy like Trout when he's up? And all his recruiting and all, we heard a lot of Philly fans tell us, not only is this Bryce signing me and Bryce, but we're going to get Trout next year.
Oh, it was the
2020.
absolute
We're going to
assumption.
get Trout.
For smartly or stupidly, and we're Redskins fans, and we've assumed a million things that never had a chance of happening. So I get it, Philly fans, but this was like the one. I mean, this is Moby Dick. I mean, you just lost out, forever on getting possibly the greatest baseball player in history, who could have been you assumed was coming to you, and then you would have him next to Bryce, and now he's going to be an Angel for life.
Hey, our boy Joe Murphy reached out today and said to me, he crunched a few numbers and said, if this was based on WAR and Bryce got 330 with his WAR, then Mike Trout should have signed a $730 million contract.
Oh, yeah.
So we knew, and you know what? Trout deserves it. This has nothing to do with Bryce. He's been the best player in baseball, hands down. I don't think you'll get many arguments there. The way he's handled himself, the way he's kept himself out of the press, which Major League Baseball isn't a huge fan of, but hey, for all the right reasons, we didn't have to go through the last few years with Bryce. Where's he going to go? Is he going to stay? What's going to happen? Well, this whole offseason, now he kept his stuff below the radar. No drama. And you know what? He deserves every dollar of that. I don't think anyone deserves anything, but he comes the closest to anyone that signed one of these mega deals with his production, the type of citizen he is, and teammate.
I mean, if you're going to pay for WAR, then yeah. I mean, but the I don't know. I mean, I think he's making $33 million a year right now, this year, and he's making $33 million a year next year. He's really only going to his annual average on the $430 million is like 35. Is that right?
It's like 35 exactly.
So
357, I believe.
I mean, he's getting like cost of living adjustment at the end of the day, for based on what he's already have.
LA's an expensive place. A tad bit more than Philly.
And the taxes in California are just violent. But I mean, he's awesome. He's going to be there forever. It's not costing. I don't think it's costing them nearly as much. And the biggest deal is he doesn't go through one day of contract drama in his career.
Right. It's the best part. Neither do we.
And neither do we.
He's spared fans of the game his teammates the question. What we've dealt with here for the last
Yeah.
few years.
Yep.
He has spared everyone, and he shut the door with a no opt out. He has shut the door for 12 years.
Yeah.
On heading back home east, which you know what, he's always going to be a guy that they love. Good for them, and he's always going to be a local boy. But he's just not going to play there. And you know what? It's probably a brilliant move on his part. I mean, come on, man.
If you're going to own a city, owning LA is a solid one to own, first and foremost. Secondly, his style, and if you're not paying attention to Mike Trout or haven't been paying attention to Mike Trout, do yourself a favor and end that immediately. He's old school, and the cool thing about this idea that he wasn't going to be a player that was going to go somewhere else to form a super team, because that's not what the greatest player in any sport does. The greatest players, I mean, like I'm talking like the Jordan type people, they just set up shop. He's not out there actively recruiting for other players to come to him. He's just quietly laying down.
But they will.
Hall of Fame season
Yeah.
after. I mean, he's already a Hall of Famer.
I agree.
If he retired right now, he'd be in a Hall of Fame.
I think so. How could he not? Listen, we're not here to rip Bryce on this either. This is just how the tides have turned. And as diehard fans, you and I have both been on the record of saying we wanted him back, of course. And there's no mistaking that short porch and right in Philly is going to help him immensely. And he's going to have a great time there. And good luck. Just not against the Stars and Bars or anything to do with the Nets. But, the fact that he chased that money, Ken, I think that's what bothered us a ton, that he desperately just wanted to get that number over Stanton. He wanted to get that number over. He wanted to get that big. He'll never play one game as the player with that record. He will. 18 days he had it for in the offseason after a brutal and Boris just got backhanded.
Oh yeah.
I mean, that was a rip from the hip to the back of the ear. That was
him serving. Boris served the ball and Agassi returned it right past his hip.
And listen, we all know this. When Bryce got walked a couple years back, and he's had some slumps, and he's got a little mental thing going. I would have taken that. I'm not saying it's a huge wart. It's just a part of his game. It's part of any baseball player's game. But the fact that he got backhanded like this, the fact that Trout just jumped out, that's going to be in his head for 12 of the next 13 years. He's going to be chasing that. It's going to be impossible for him to reach this contract, and might be for Trout too. To be fair, I don't know who's worth that, but Trout certainly has proven he's going to come as close as any athlete in the United States ever.
Yep. And they could have their careers would have been much more comparable, and I think Bryce would be on far better standing to compare his career at the end of it if he could also have played on one team throughout the entire length.
We had 2 years ago, we talked about who the king of DC would be in a couple of years, and the argument was between Kirk Cousins and Bryce Harper. Well, Kirk left town, and it wasn't so much Kirk as the Washington quarterback. That was the deal. It wasn't so much Kirk Cousins as the quarterback of our Redskins, who we had franchised, the guy that was our guy. But Bryce, it was sitting right there for him on a silver plate to come back here and just be all of DC. It was sitting there for him, Larry Bird, Magic Johnson style. Yep. When these two guys 7 years ago were coming out, they were compared to Larry Bird and Magic Johnson as babies. Yep. And they were asking Bryce who he thought he was and blah, blah. Well, guess what? One less year on your contract and $100 million. There ain't no Bird Magic there. There's one or the other. And then there's a couple. There might be a Michael Cooper, an old Kareem, after 20 years in the league. But just the fact that he went to a division rival and then chased the money, which he did. I mean, he did. He begged not to go to Philly, essentially. This whole time he held out, and he chased the money. He chased the money with
the
Boris.
Worst place ever.
And the way this happened, it was just magical. The fact that they're not getting Mike Trout is fantastic. We're Nats fans. We don't want Mike Trout.
Exactly. Stays over there. And I think it's cool to watch the Angels because between him and Ohtani, that's a pretty cool team. It's just kind of fun. I mean, they have other – and that's not it. That's not where it ends. But those two players are worth the price of admission if you're able to get those two players in a game. That's crazy.
Bryce painted himself as the villain, not just for us, for a lot of baseball fans. It's not just local. After he chased the money and went to Philly, he painted himself into the corner as a villain. Freaking Mike Trout just became the greatest American hero.
Yeah.
You didn't see anyone moaning about that contract. Everyone was like, well, that's what Mike Trout was going to get. That's what Mike Trout deserved.
If I'm Bryce Harper, that's what bothers me the most.
Exactly.
The
clout.
You're
chasing the money, you're chasing the clout, you're chasing the power. What does $100 million do for me when I'm 65? Well, ask any hardworking American citizen what they would do to retire with $100 million. You can't just say that with your palms up as if you deserved it. You know who does deserve it? That guy, Mike Trout.
Yep.
God, that was ticklish.
Yep. Well, so that's all happening now. 9 days before opening day. If you are a junkie and you need some regular season baseball action, I believe tomorrow you're getting Seattle, Oakland in Japan. Ichiro Suzuki is going to suit up, which I think is super cool.
Do you see what he did yesterday?
Yeah.
That throw from right field to third?
Yeah. I mean, he can still play.
He's out there making behind-the-back catches and pregame warm-ups and talking with the fans. He is a super stud athlete. That guy, what a beast of an athlete at his age.
If he's capable of starting this season, maybe he's not capable of playing 162, but he should be in the league.
I know it's a weird role, isn't it?
This season,
it's kind of strange.
Like there's not someone who would rather put him in the game to sell some tickets than some AAA guy.
Maybe it has something to do with him. He's an honorable human being who doesn't want to take someone's spot, maybe, and all this, and he wants to be there to help, not get in the way. But damn, we watched him. We saw him last year a little bit, and I saw him in warm-ups yesterday. That guy should be in a lineup. Maybe not a starter, but who doesn't want to go watch Ichiro play baseball?
If he's at the end of my bench, I'm feeling pretty good.
I know. For a decade, he was the most exciting guy in the sport.
Yep.
And the coolest part about him is they show him in pregame, and when he's in the batting cage, he's taking balls out left and right. He's hitting them 2 left and 2 right regularly. But that's not what he does. He does what the team needs. So he went out there and got on base, put the ball and placed it where it needed to be, did the right thing at bat every time. What an honorable human being.
I tried to mimic his swing a little in softball. Get that running start in the box. But then I got called out once for stepping on the plate when I had to stop.
Yeah, well, it's a tough compare there.
Between my softball game and Ichiro's baseball situation?
That's exactly what I'm hitting at.
Perfectly. It's like
no, but I like that you emulate him.
Yeah, definitely. I also tried to install Marty Schottenheimer's terrible 3-and-out offense in a flag league.
I mean,
we can keep going if you want.
How many 1-yard outs can you throw in a flag football game?
As it turns out, three of them before turning the ball over on the 4th time.
Yeah.
On a regular basis.
Stick with Ichiro, but
stick with Ichiro.
He's more in our age range.
Victor Robles having a good spring. Juan Soto looking like he's going to be something, and that's just where it begins. But for me, Rendon and Zimmerman and Dozier and whoever's at catcher, I feel like it's all going to be about Eaton, Turner, Robles, and Soto. To me, that's my if I can get those 4 guys. If those 4 guys are going, I mean, we should win series on a regular basis.
The ball's been flying over the fence after it touches Jan Gom's bat here lately.
That's true.
And what Juan Soto did with the homer and 2 doubles 2 days ago, you try not to trust me. Everyone just wants a piece of it. 9 days away,
Mm-hmm.
we got 6 months of it. Can't wait for it. But it is exciting to watch these guys. And a little bit of good news on Michael Taylor's injury.
Yeah, he's working out.
I thought it might be 3 to 4 months, and it's not. It looks like closer to a month at worst.
Yeah,
that's a big deal for us.
We need him. As it turns out, you need outfielders in this league, and he's a good one. He shortened his swing, and he has almost clicked with something new in spring a couple different times, and he kind of fell into some old ways mid-season a couple different times, which is crazy for how young he is that he's had this happen. But that just shows that the Nats have been sticking with him, keeping him in there, giving him a chance. He's a giant. I mean, I don't think people really understand how big he is. He kind of looks slim and slender, and he looked like he was maybe 4 years old with that face.
Oh, yeah.
He's huge.
Little MJ off the wall.
He's huge. He's a gigantic man. He's got all the tools, and he can be great. I'm most excited because our team is capable of winning every single night, winning any series they find themselves in, for the most part, competing. And in baseball, you get that game every day. In football, you got to wait for it, for Sundays. Even the NBA and hockey are a little bit more spread out. The Nats are such a they've totally invaded, the sports fan psyche of they're great and they're every day. And that's why I think they've truly, in my opinion, and I think a lot of people agree. But I think I'm more Nats than Skins at this very moment.
I defer. I plead the 5th.
Sure.
It's
the heart chart.
Over here at the 1st, I'm going to plead the 5th on that.
Plead the 5th
because Redskins courses through my veins. And, listen, every day at my house, it's on. I'm not saying we're all sitting in front of it, watching every pitch, but that's what DVR is for. And my whole family's invested. And to have the starting 5 we have going every night, it's not going to be like last year, guys. We're not going to have to sit there and struggle through a couple days a week, if not 3 days a week. Patrick Corbin, Anibal Sanchez, the comps between them and Gio and Roark last year, they both had 57 starts last year. Show to those two guys. We got 2 more wins, 13 less losses, 10.2 more innings, 66 less hits, 48 less earned runs, 9 less homers, 30 less walks, and 109 more strikeouts. That's what we got coming at the back end. And we haven't even talked about number 5, who's going to be stronger than our number 3 last year. And we've got multiple options there. We'll see what happens. And you know what happens in the course of a year.
Who do you think number 5 is going to be?
Right now, I think they start off with Hellickson. I think they don't want to. I don't think you want to come out and watch the rookie falter. You'd like to bring him in a little, without the fanfare of day 5. That's just my guess. I don't.
Sure.
And I think Hellickson gave us a lot of good innings last year. And it's been talked about. Davey said we're going to let him travel into the 4th round of the rotation. He keeps giving me 6 solid. I'm going to see what he's got. Well, let's check him out instead of popping him out in the 5th and putting it on our bullpens back.
Yep.
I like that, especially early in the season. And with the 4 starters we have in front of him, there's going to be a lot of room to spare for that bullpen, I believe, on a 5th start like that.
And I think that there's more than enough time to see where Craig Kimbrell ends up. And the talk about it, the Nationals being a possibility for him, I don't think it's. I think it's legitimate. Because this is a team that he could play on. Very well could be a guy that the Nats never, aren't even really seriously considering. Because it's probably not going to be extremely cheap. The guy was looking for $100 million, and he hasn't gotten it, and he's probably not going to get it. But you're going to have to pay him, on a shorter term deal, but with a higher. He's gonna get his money. I think that the Nats surprise us and sign this guy before we have another show.
I would be very happy about that.
Yeah, I would too.
I think outfield depth all of a sudden got scary, but our bullpen, it's just hard to say that all these guys are going to come back. Cutting Solis was kind of the telltale. Mm-hmm. That's a guy that ate some innings for us over the last few years, had some problems with health, but
he was also
fantastic.
The picture of us, because when he was good, he was really good, and when he was bad, it was just terrible.
And you have to give a lefty a chance, but listen, man, you better get ready. You better get ready for Robinson, Cano, Freddie Freeman, and Bryce Harper.
Yep.
I know we had to sign a lefty. We did. Tony Sipp. I'm ecstatic to get that veteran lefty, and the fact that we're going to need him in these situations against 3 of the best lefties in baseball, right in our division. What is that? 67? 57 times a year.
Yeah.
Those 3 guys will be in the other lineup. That's 130-year season. God dang. So that was a big deal for us.
But tell me how how he doesn't make sense for the Nats.
No, it certainly makes sense. The luxury tax is kind of a punch to the gut, I think. But
and also the contract. If he's holding out for long term for big money, that might not get resolved right away.
Yeah, and he's a couple miles per hour off of his heater. He's not just throwing high smoke and getting out.
Well, he's fresh now.
He's certainly fresh. This is so weird. I had thoughts in my head the other day about would we possibly sign Dallas Keuchel? Was that even in the threshold of? I'm just food for thought. And I said,
would you start him as your 5th starter?
Can you imagine that 5?
Yeah.
Oh, you could.
Where would he be? What would he be? Where would you slot him?
I think he's instantly our number 4.
And Annabelle goes number 5.
I think Patrick Corbin just got paid enough to reserve that number 3. He's pitched well enough to earn it.
He's a young, nasty lefty.
A young guy with the nastiest slider in the game. Yeah. And I think our future is in him because I'm not sure what Keuchel's going to get either. I just threw that out there because it sounds like too good to be true, but that's where Rizzo has invested the money.
And the money's moving right now. Yeah. So all of a sudden you're seeing money move. A lot of money, obviously, but a little bit more free-flowing. And I don't know, you might all... Well, none of what's happening with Trout and Harper or Machado or any of these or Arenado are driving the market on the Dallas Keuchels and Craig Kimbrells of the world.
No, and I think we're certainly more inclined to sign Kimbrell, and I didn't mean to change subjects because
I would. I'd sign Dallas
and
change his name right away. Obviously,
right. Yeah, that'd be a tough one, but we'll figure
Call
it out.
D.
We just had the Cowboys fan leave town, so that feels pretty good. You got to look for the little things.
Yep.
But Kimbrell coming in there with that leadership, with his World Series ring, and he's been the premier guy. And I don't know if he still is, but he's right up there in the top 5.
Yep. Well, I mean, it's something that all of us it increases your chances of winning first and foremost, and I that's why I think that they're going to do it because I think this front office has shown when there's obvious ways when you look at a situation and you say, well, if we do this, we have a way better chance of winning. I think they've made the right choice a lot in the last 5 years.
I think the front office should come out and take a bow on
Yes.
opening day and to a standing ovation from every fan, showing their professionalism, their patience, and their inability to make a panic judgment, a panic reaction. Everything has been, well studied, understood.
Yep.
It's a little opposite from, right up the road playing with the helmets on.
We've argued best run organization in town. I mean, the Caps are up there,
I agree.
obviously.
I agree. We skipped over that a little bit last time. The Caps, the defending Stanley Cup champions,
Yep.
have done everything perfectly. But I really love how this was a huge major issue, and I think we handled it like pros, and I love it.
Oh, and by the way, as far as king of the town, we bring up the word Caps. Alexander Ovechkin,
It's not close.
drafted by the Caps, have been signed and re-signed and never traded. When there was rumors that or people who thought that we should get rid of him or rebuild and use his ability, his value to reload. He's that guy. He's the guy we wish Bryce Harper could try to be. The Mike Trout is. He just sets up shop in town and goes after it year after year and makes players around him better and breaks through at some point in time, which I honestly believe, again, here's someone thinking something positive about Mike Trout on a day when I probably otherwise wouldn't have. I think he absolutely is capable of winning a World Series with the kind of team that, they're putting around him right now. And they're only going to get better, and he's there for 12 years.
They're not going to come play with him because of Twitter or anything he says.
No.
It's lead by example with him.
Yeah.
He keeps it quiet, drama-free. Guys are going to say, you know what? If I'm a starting pitcher in a contract year looking to make the big bucks, I would gravitate towards having that bat in your lineup. He makes up for a lot of mistakes, doesn't he?
Well, so he's going to be there for 12 years. Over the course of 12 years, you can draft well, once or twice. All of a sudden you get a couple first-round picks. I mean, really, you're talking over the next 3 years or 4 years even. If they get 2 of those first-round picks right now, you're talking about another 2 guys, and you haven't spent $1.
You can specifically target a type of player you'd like to have
Yes.
around him.
Yes.
You can build multiple teams over the next decade
Yes.
around that guy with players that would be specific to his needs, that would fit in perfectly for him.
Yep.
And before we forget, real quick, I just want to shout out John Wall. I know he hasn't had Alex Ovechkin's production by any stretch or success at any level, but to twice, just throw the Heisman up at free agency and re-sign here because he loves this city and calls it his city. That's something that needs to be commended. And
Absolutely.
I hope to hell he gets healthy and comes back and proves the loyalty right. Because right now a lot of people are down on him.
Yeah.
But that type of loyalty is what we're looking for and what we're talking about and what we didn't just get. But I think addition by subtraction might help us out. Not that Bryce Harper is a bad guy, but you don't have your Patrick Corbins. You don't have the chance to sign your Craig Kimbrels. You don't get the re-up with Rendon.
And we got a guy, Ryan Zimmerman is an original. We drafted him out of UVA. He's been here for his whole career. He's going to be under contract. He's going to retire a Nat, and he's the player that if the Nationals hoist the trophy, that they rally around behind. It's his team in many ways, in many senses. You got Max Scherzers, you got leaders in the clubhouse, probably like some of these catchers and. Maybe a Dozier, and in Adam Eaton. But at the end of the day, Ryan Zimmerman, he's a Nat. He's Mr. Nat.
Captain.
Yep. And don't let people forget that this is Strasburg's 10th season, I want to say. Is that true?
10?
Is it 7? Maybe it's 7.
I think it's less than 10.
Oh, I said 10. I got a little jumpy there. Maybe it's 7.
Yeah, I think it's right around 7.
Okay.
But I'm not positive. I know
been
that.
around too.
I know that Ryan Zimmerman has to be sitting there chomping at the bit, thinking, "Can they get this DH into the National League sooner than later, so I can
Absolutely
come off the bench for the Nats and play in a majority of the games as the DH? Because if the guy just focuses on hitting, he could be scary.
Yeah.
He could be scary.
He could go Harold Bain style for another 10 years.
He'd be scary, man. He could, and that might help his body, obviously. And we're not going to be.
I think it's happening. I mean, it's if it doesn't happen, I mean, obviously it's not going to happen. It doesn't.
I don't want
right
it
away.
to happen. I'm not going to lie to you. Growing up an American League fan, my whole life, and then it has to do with getting older. I'm a traditionalist now, like I never was early on in my life. I'd be sad to see that happen. I really would.
Do you want to expand the playoffs in baseball?
Sure. I also do not like the 5-game series. I think you play 162, and then you have 1 or 2 bad nights, and I'm not certain about the 5-game series.
I would eliminate the 5-game series and go to 7. Best of 7.
Absolutely.
Everything's best of 7.
Absolutely.
So you're adding at least 2 teams to the playoffs, if not 4, 2 on each side, and you are increasing that first round a couple games. I would tell you that the union is going to make demands, and I think the DH is a perfect stick or carrot for the owners to offer to the union, because then now you're increasing the salary of 30 guys, or I'm sorry, 15 guys. You're improving what you need on the bench. So one bench player is also getting a raise right away, because he could probably play. He's probably going to be having to play more in the field. And to the union, that's a ton of money. That's a lot, you know.
No, I see that, and I
would you trade that? Let me ask you this: would you do that? Would you take the DH in the National League in exchange for expanded playoffs and
I wouldn't
across? Okay,
I wouldn't, and I desperately want those expanded playoffs, Ken.
Yeah.
I just listen. We have a guy on our team who goes by the name of Max Scherzer, and some of the biggest runs we've gone on, some of the most inspired baseball has happened after a clutch hit by Max Scherzer. Some of the biggest roars from the crowd when he gets up there and competes the way he does in the box. That is special to me. You look at this guy and you know he's got a high school hack swing, but he just wills himself to win. And I love that aspect of this team, of him, and all the money we pay him. I love that he gets up there with the bat in hand and does work.
I love watching Max Scherzer hit. I'm not going to lie, but I would love to see Matt Adams and Ryan Zimmerman both in the lineup every single day.
And
also.
Granted, not many pitchers have that competitive edge in the box that Max does. With their high school hack swings, it's usually about a 103 average at best.
I mean, I think that for the Nats, I'm probably DHing Adam Eaton a lot. At some point, you just be able to keep him in the lineup and be able to play Michael Taylor and some other guys.
Matt Adams,
and be able to get Matt Adams in.
Or just DH Matt Adams Matt Adams is built for it, and he can still play a little bit. He's got some nimble feet. I think he's underrated as a fielder, but he certainly would be a nice replacement for Anibal Sanchez in the lineup.
I mean, if Matt Adams hits every day, he's shown that he's probably close to a 300 hitter, and you're hoping for some pop, but he's a contact guy and he's getting on base, and he's probably getting RBIs.
He's got plenty of pop too. So
yeah.
No, I hear that. I just and when it happens, I'm not going to begrudge it. I'm a forward thinker, Ken.
I know you are. Well, let me ask you this.
Talk to me, buddy.
If we expand the playoffs in the scenario of what we're doing, and forget about 1 or 2 teams, just think expanded playoffs. You finish the season, maybe even you shorten the season, just to make room for what I'm about to propose. Everyone gets a week, 5-6 days, and then you go into because don't you love the 1-game playoff?
I'm not a huge fan of the play-in game.
Okay.
I just think you play 162.
What if you get a couple extra teams in and you do like a best 2 out of 3 after everyone gets rest, and you can go with your best guys, your top starters?
Yeah, I know, but there's going to be some freezing cold balls when they're playing baseball on December 1st. That's another worry. So I'm not talking about the leather ones.
No.
And there's some northern cities in here that have got some outdoor stadiums that make no sense, Minnesota. So that's tough, but you know what? Whatever it may be, there's a lot of guys a lot smarter than me that have understood baseball for a lot longer that are willing to go with it. So I'm not going to sit there and shake a stick at it.
Yeah.
And I would definitely love to see
it. You're always shaking sticks, man.
Yeah, well, it'd be tough to do that December 1st in Minneapolis. That's not much shake to that stick, bud.
No, there's not very much shake to that stick.
No, I mean I've never tried it, to be honest, but
we've heard stories.
Fair enough.
Well, let's come back next Tuesday night. We'll be 2 days away from opening day.
Oh boy,
that's going to be
our opening day show.
It'll be our opening day prep. We'll give you what lineup we think they're going to run with. We'll talk about the fact that we're on the verge of Mets and Phillies. Bryce.
On the road again with Bob Seger taking us to the start of this 6 month. I love it so much. From the start of spring all the way through the dog days of summer, there's one consistent at the household, and everyone paying attention tonight, you know exactly what the hell I'm talking about. Right around the corner.
Yep. We will be here on a Tuesday night basis. We'll give you the week that was. We'll talk about the schedule. Tonight, obviously, there was none of that. Tonight was dominated by what it should have been dominated by. And we will talk about the Mets. We'll talk about the matchups for the opening series. The key to life Know your 40, win series. That's what the summer's going to be all about. Know who's on our 40-man roster and win series. Win 2 out of 3, 3 out of 4. Just keep winning series, and it's going to be a ton of fun. I'll see you next Tuesday night, Kevin Ricka.
Well, I can't wait to think about shaking my stick in the greatest city in the universe in November. That sure would be fun.
Kensington.
I'll shake it here too, but
Yeah, well, there's been some requests from neighbors for you to not do that. On behalf of First Amendment Sports, I'm Ken Marangolo, and this was the Nat Shift. We got some good Bill Withers in there tonight. Still alive.
big Bill Withers fan. He's from a town population like 900 in West Virginia and didn't sell out for the money. God bless him.